Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you do not know, my name is Lucy. I'm wearing lip gloss for the first time in a really long time and it's just like, I currently feel like I have slugs for lips. I'm actually not filming this on the same day that I film my chatty get ready with me, even though we're wearing the same outfit in both. Me, myself and I. This isn't an illusion, I just wore the same outfit. So yesterday, I fancied doing just a little advice video because I love doing them and I haven't done one in a while. I think they're great fun. Put a little question out on Instagram into the world. I was like, guys, would you like to ask me some advice? And I'll do my best to answer your questions. And the replies came in thick and fast. So here I am today. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on these situations. Disclaimer, I am no expert. I have just lived a lot of life. Let us have a look at these questions. Basically, every single time I do one of these advice videos, the number one thing I get asked is, I haven't had my first something yet. That could be kiss, that could be having sex, that could be any of those stages in the middle. I feel like I'm too old for this to have not happened yet. Am I too old? And always my answer is, no, you are not too old. Everyone develops at a different rate. Everyone wants to do things at a different rate. And for some reason we have this massive paranoia, I guess from like American Pie or something, that we are the slowest of the slow. Or that there is everyone just doing things all the time, like before the age of 18, and it's just not true. Take things at your own pace. I know people who lost their virginities at the age of 27. I know people who haven't lost their virginities yet and they are still 27. Everyone is just on a different wave. And like some people do stuff when they're like 14 and that's okay as well. Also, I think something important to mention within that is that experience does not necessarily correlate with expertise. I've kissed enough men who claim to have a lot of experience but did not have much expertise. I don't know if you've ever had washing machine tongue, but it's just not worth your while. So anyone that assumes that because someone's had sex with 300 people that they're going to be an expert, they're just wrong. You can have bad sex 300 times. I've just started my first relationship at 22. Any advice on navigating what is normally a teen experience at an older age? I can answer this a bit. I had my first relationship when I was 20. I started it when I was 20 and I felt like I was like light years behind everyone else because it felt like everyone had already been in relationships. And to be honest, it did feel like a first relationship in a lot of ways. I was still like figuring things out. But I think you're just figuring things out in all relationships, to be honest. Every relationship's different and there's just no protocol for what is the norm. I would say so long as you're taking every experience in a way where you're keeping an eye on, like, that you're being respected and that you're being listened to and that your ideas are being like heard. I think so long as you're keeping those things in mind, you can't really go wrong because your gut will tell you when something is not like adhering to those rules. I just went into my first relationship thinking like, okay, I know communication's important. I know that if he's derogatory to me in any way, that's not cool. And I just navigated the whole thing on those parameters. I also put no pressure on that relationship. I thought, I know it's my first, and whether right or wrong, I thought I'll just enjoy it as it is and however it works out. I tried not to be like, oh my god, this has to be my guy forever, da 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 da. I just chose not to think about that. I think that did me really well. How do you save money when you're a uni student who gets about $30 a week? Please help. That's really hard. I would say $30 a week is not really enough to live off unless you are magic. That is really low for anyone. I would say maybe focus on increasing your income as opposed to reducing your spending if at all possible. If not, bulk buying, Costco for days. Someone has asked, how do I move out of the honeymoon phase seamlessly, with a lot of emojis? That's hard. That's really hard. I don't know. With my relationship, we just moved out of the honeymoon phase really seamlessly. Like, it was just fine. Like, it kind of, I looked back and I was like, oh, it's kind of stopped now. Like, the honeymoon phase that I definitely knew I was in when I was in it was over. I think when you see a relationship as a long-term thing anyway, you kind of have to make peace with the fact the honeymoon phase ends and then there's still lots more good stuff on the horizon, because the honeymoon phase is like, what, 4 to 7 months about here, and then you have like here still to go. Just making sure that you're doing all the things that keep things exciting, like you're having date nights. I know everyone says this, but it's actually so true. You've got to make time for your partner that's not just time to exist around each other, like time to actually like spend. I think the thing about the honeymoon phase is that moments of honeymoon do come back and kind of like glisten on like little bits as like the silver linings of the rest of the relationship. So it's not like that feeling is gone forever. How do you create a positive social media experience for yourself? Great question. I think so much of your social media experience is about who and what you are following. I would always say have a big cull every 6 months or so and just mute and unfollow everyone that is not serving you well at the moment, you're noticing is making you feel insecure or not good in some way or another. But then there's a bigger question, I think, of asking yourself how you are using social media, as in just the apps in general. Like, is that serving you? And that's much harder to deal with because, as we all know, social media is an addiction. Phones are definitely addictive, and I am now hyper conscious of just how addicted I am to my phone. And I think I will make a video when I work out and I've tried a bunch of things and I assess how I'm gonna deal with the fact that I dread to think what my screen time is. Do I really want to check right now? I'm gonna check. Oh my god! I've been using my phone for 6 hours a day, 6 hours and 1 minute a day on average. Today I've used my phone 3 hours and 5 minutes. This doesn't seem to even count the amount of time I spend just listening to stuff. Oh my god. I spent 24 whole hours last week on social networks. That's actually disgusting. That was a whole day of my life. Oh my god, I just can't go over it. Okay, well, if you want a video about me cutting down my social media, then let me know, because it's clearly a fucking problem. Oh, I can answer this. Do I really need a degree to get somewhere in the creative industry? No, you do not. It depends on what part you're going into. If you're going into fashion, you probably do need a degree or some kind of set of qualifications. If you're going into advertising, I'd argue you don't need a set of qualifications. I think you just need a bunch of experience. Whatever you do need to be able to prove you can do the job. And a lot of the time, unfortunately, that does involve unpaid internships and like a load of work experience. But depending on your industry in particular, you can probably start seeking that experience from the age of 16 or 18 and actually avoid doing uni entirely if it's not for you. Of course, it depends on the industry. Learn about your industry, learn as much as you can about how people got into your industry, and then make decisions based on that. But in general, creative industries, your experience is much more valuable. God. How to deal with interacting with my ex at uni. We're in the same course, history. Great choice on your history degree. That's really hard. The advice I give everyone when they break up is like, delete them on everything, block them on everything, just try and avoid seeing anything to do with them and you'll get over them much faster. But obviously there's times where you can't like remove yourself from those environments. University is one of them, especially if you're on the same course. I think the best thing you can do for yourself is make sure that they're blocked and deleted on everything so that it is the only place you're seeing them. And then when you're going in, to uni, just make sure you feel good, whether that means wearing your like comfy but really nice and new underwear, like whether that means putting on a little bit of makeup, whether that means, I just think feeling confident, whatever makes you feel confident, because obviously loads of people don't wear makeup and loads of people, I don't know, maybe even just wearing your contacts as opposed to wearing your glasses. Whatever gives you that little like, yeah, I'm good. I think you kind of need that for those moments, because you're obviously going to have to run into your ex at some point, but give yourself an edge, you know? Heighten yourself to your best self if you can, and then just like go it. Someone's asked how to stop being shy and actually flirt with people. Literally all my friends just seem to not flirt with anyone, they just stare at them until they date. Yeah, I don't understand that. I just don't understand why people don't talk to each other. I really think all you need to do is initiate a conversation and then initiate a second, and if you're getting good vibes, continue. If you are not getting good vibes, abort. Leave it. They are not comfortable. Leave. But then I guess a lot of people say they can't sense the good vibes. I think you know in your gut if someone is kind of like, go away. Or at least I hope so. This isn't very helpful advice, sorry. So many people are in love with their best friend in this. I would really appreciate if you told your best friend. I just think it's a terrible idea. I think a lot of the time if you tell your friend, you can talk it out and then get over it. Such a great question. Do I like this guy, or do I just like that he likes me? I think you need to trust your gut. If you like him, I think a couple of things happen. Like, you get excited to see them, you want to spend time with them, you get butterflies. These are all things that kind of make you feel good and like give you nerves in a good way. I think when those nerves are self-fulfilling in a way that's like ego boosting, it's probably not it. Obviously if someone's like, you're really beautiful, you're gorgeous, then you're like, yeah, woo, ego boost. Maybe take yourself out of the environment you normally see each other in, if it's always a booty call or if it's always at their house or you're always at the same pub, I don't know. Go somewhere different, go to a restaurant, go change that environment, go to a park, whatever fits your budget and your schedules, and see if that changes anything. Because I think a lot of the time when you're spending time with someone and you're finding it fulfilling in an ego way, or like they're giving you attention and I don't know, you're kind of stuck in the middle, it's because everything's developed into a habit of some kind. Like even your thought processes are very habitual, and shaking up that environment will probably help you realize if you still like them in that different environment. That sounds weird, but like imagine you have a kind of very low level crush at work, but they really like you and you can tell. Like I would take that experience elsewhere. I would take it to a weekend, or I would take it to a bar or something, and see if that feeling continues, or if it's just because you are in work and they are the only person you find even a little bit attractive. Thoughts on thoughts from the moon. Oh my god. How do you keep yourself from taking out your worries on your partner when you're anxious? I feel seen. I'm really prone to, I'd say, acting out on my anxiety with my partner and my partner only, because I'm quite reserved around a lot of my friends in that sense. Like I'm not very emotional around other people I know, but I am around my partner, and I think sometimes that means it can come as a wave, as opposed to like, oh, I'd kind of sprinkle bits here and there. So I would advise not letting it become a wave and doing preventative measures beforehand. As soon as you notice that you're having a really anxious day or a bad day, or you're angry or whatever, you've got some kind of extreme emotion as an undercurrent of your day, I would take steps to deal with it before you see your partner. So whether that means ending work an hour early and going and seeing a friend, or what else do people do to relax? What do I do to relax? Take a nap. If you're on meds, take your meds. If there's something you can do that relaxes you, go for a walk, whatever. Make time, or it's not necessarily making time, it's making space for yourself, even if that means, okay, I'm at work, I can't leave, cup of tea, go make it, bring it back, put my blanket around me, put my cardigan around me, make my life a little bit cozier, a little bit nicer, deal with what's going on right now, do Pomodoro timer or whatever, and then feel more fulfilled, and then go and see your partner. I think this applies for everything, really. This is, maybe not the best advice. I don't know. I think you just have to make yourself feel more comfortable in those moments before. Best tips for someone going into their first year of uni with no experience in budgeting. Mate, this was me. So when I was first in uni, I broke everything down and built a budget. Like I did not do anything by like guesswork, basically. I worked out exactly how much loan I got, and then I broke it down week by week, and then I divided all of my weekly expenses into that, and then worked out what I had left. And that was invaluable. Like that saved me so much like stress and worry. I knew exactly how much was going into my account each week, because I was transferring, so boring, but I was transferring from one account to the other, to my student account, because my student account wasn't an ethical bank, and so I didn't want to keep loads of money in there. So yeah, I just kind of put everything in week by week, and I knew, okay, you've got 20 quid for food, and that's all your food. You've got 20 quid straight on your travel card. You're doing this, doing that. And that kind of stopped me from going over. How do you get someone to genuinely like you in an overly sexualized society? Mate, I don't know. I feel like every aspect of my personality has been fetishized by someone at some point. And by that I mean they didn't find it attractive, they found it like overwhelmingly sexy. I don't know if I've talked about it online before, but like even when I was sober, I felt like some men that I met would like almost fetishize my sobriety and make it an attractive quality about me, which was like, what? I'm ill. It was not the one at all. I just think that's society, unfortunately. I think when you find a real one, you find a real one. Poetry recommendations for a 22-year-old who needs to find herself but might be falling in love for the first time. Andrea Gibson. Their poetry is incredible. How to move on after a toxic/controlling relationship. It's been 5 months, but I'm still not over it. Mate, it's only been 5 months. Like, give yourself a load of space and time. I would expect, like, and this is just a guess, that a toxic and controlling relationship would take you about 2 years to get over. Don't worry, you have lots of time. Give yourself a big break. Your body will take it at the pace it needs to take it. Your brain's recovery is not just like, woo, done. Like, that takes time. This one's just funny. I slept with a guy at a festival and ended up catching feelings. Help. Mate, leave it. Unless he lives in the same city, drop it fast and run away. Men who have sex at festivals, I don't know if I trust them. These relationship and like sex questions are the most interesting ones I've ever had. They're so good. Someone asks, I'm meeting my boyfriend's family soon. Tips? It's so nerve-wracking. I remember every time I've met anyone's parents have been shitting a brick. I think just know that like they might not like you and come to terms with that. If they don't like you, it's their own problem. They probably won't even show you or tell you they don't like you, and that's okay. Just enjoy it as much as you can, ask a lot of questions, be really nice, offer to wash up, offer to do the things that need doing. That's all the advice I can give. Good luck. How do you cope with academic pressure from parents and society in general? That's really hard. I think when you remember that someone else's path is not your path, and if you keep holding that in your brain and that you don't want to waste time following a path that is someone else's, like a lot of the time the people who love you's priorities for you are completely informed by their own insecurities and their own like perception of their personal failings and their own fears. If you see everything through that lens, then you'll be able to kind of remove yourself from that and go, okay, what am I looking for? Like, what am I actually trying to do? Academic pressure is good to feel a little bit, not very good for you to feel a lot. So being able to step away from other people's projections onto you and just go like down your own lane, I think creates quite a lot of peace in your head. I wish I'd been able to do that when I was that age and doing all the academic stuff. I got to it at uni, but while I was in school, God no. Any advice you would give to new influencers? I might make a whole video on this because I keep thinking about the people who are coming out of Love Island right now or in a month or so, because I got to know a girl off of Love Island quite well this time last year. The things she was having to deal with that she did not know how to deal with because she wasn't a professional influencer, but she was being treated as one, like she'd just become one, obviously, through the show. The stuff she was dealing with was awful, like absolutely awful, and she didn't know that it wasn't normal. And so I say the best thing you can do is talk to other people who are at your level of influencing and above. Honestly, if I hadn't known the people I knew when I started doing this full time, I already got screwed over by quite a lot of situations, but like that would have really really been awful. This industry is still the Wild West, and there's still a lot of complete lack of structure on anything. There's no norm. We're only just getting fees for like sponsored work at a kind of standardized level. But even like 5 years ago, we still didn't understand how this whole space works on any level. So like in terms of the business thing, if you're making money, like talk to people, get advice from people, be open to learning. You're going to make some mistakes, but there are definitely some you can avoid. Some of these, obviously people don't know how my life is, but like some of these I'm like, oh, that's a bit too close to home for me to answer. Someone asked, any advice or tips on focusing when you're writing your uni dissertation? Yes, Pomodoro timer. Pomodoro timing all the time for everything. It's basically a timer or like an app you can download, but you can just do it on your phone if it's easier, but it's nicer to have one that's like an official timer. Most of them are free, where basically you have a timer set for 25 minutes, you work solidly, completely focused for 25 minutes, then you have a 5-minute break where you can check your phone, make a cup of tea, do whatever, and then another 5-minute break. You do that 4 rounds and then you get a 15-minute break at the end of 2 hours. And it helped me so much with my focus. When I break things down into chunks, like literal chunks, it's easier. Also, I used Trello for my dissertation citations and notes, just to make a note of everything I was reading, everything I'd gone through, and I found that really helpful. It's not the best system, but it's free and good. Final question, how do I deal with feeling insecure about boyfriends' exes? Oh, this is the worst. Honestly, I am so susceptible to this. I feel like, I was saying this to my friend Georgia earlier, but like, I feel like as part of my job, I am constantly comparing myself to people. Like it's encouraged in my line of work because I'm constantly having to see myself as a brand, like look out and be like, how are they doing? How are they doing? Like, what can I be doing better? And it's just like, oh, because I end up doing it about like visuals as well. You gotta remember that they liked you as well, and they liked you for good reason, and hold that thought in your head. You can't be them. Do you know what I mean? Like, it didn't work out for a reason. You're not with them anymore, and you can't be their new girlfriend. So you've or boyfriend or whatever. So like, you've kind of just gotta remember and hold in your head, just because your time has passed with that person doesn't make you less valuable during that particular time, you know? It doesn't mean that this person's more than you were. Does that make sense? Okay, that is a strong 40 minutes of advice I've just tried to record, and lots of scrolling. So my phone time's going to be grim, but thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit subscribe, like it, all the things. Thanks so much. I will speak to you in my next video.